Hey everyone, I'm here at the wonderful Goodwood Motor Circuit, and of course I'm joined by Ralph Fulton, the creative director at Playground Games. Ralph, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. You know, we've talked about Forza Horizon 4 all over the world, but I honestly can't think of a better place. Just, you know, in the week of launch, to talk about Forza Horizon 4 than at Goodwood. This is really special, right?
It's kind of perfect. Like when we first thought about Horizon 8 years ago, we kind of imagined it as, you know, part Glastonbury, part Goodwood Festival of Speed. So being here 4 games in, celebrating the launch of the new one coming this Friday is perfect.
Right, and we do have some rowdies driving around in the background here as well. So if you hear some engines going past, you'll know what it is. But let's talk about what's happening over the course of the next month, right? So obviously the game comes out, but then you've got the seasons rolling in, and you've got some new content coming in every week, right?
Absolutely, and we've been saying that since June in LA. That launch is really just the start, and I know there's a bunch of things that people have been asking since the demo came out and in the run up to launch about what they can expect from the game. So we've got some new news on that today, which is great. So the first thing people ask is what season is it going to be when I get the game? You know, because obviously the game is based around seasons in Britain, and seasons will last a real world week after you've moved out of the prologue. So I can reveal that the season when you leave the prologue, if you're joining in early access this Friday, will be summer. And then, obviously, as if you're joining a worldwide launch on the Tuesday, it will still be summer. And then the time that we switch seasons is on a Thursday at 3:30 p.m. GMT. So if you're in Britain, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. You can do your calculations based on where specifically you are in the world, and then obviously summer will turn to autumn. And on that Thursday, each successive week, a new season will arrive with a ton of new gameplay, content, experiences for everyone.
All right, tell me how that season change is actually going to work for people when they're playing the game. Like, so if I'm playing at 3:30 on a Thursday afternoon, am I going to see the season change in front of me? How's that going to work?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're in the game and if you're in free roam, so you're just driving around the open world, we will basically count down to it. So there'll be a timer, a countdown clock at the top of your screen telling you that the season change is coming up. When that hits 0, we're going to stop what you're doing. We're going to show you a brief cinematic about the changing season, and then we're going to introduce you to the new gameplay, the new events and championships and what have you that come with each and every season. If you're in a race at that point, don't worry. We're not going to pull you out of that. We're going to wait till you finish that. When you return to free roam, then you will get that same sort of season change process.
All right, so we've seen like what the season change means to the way you play the game and the look and the feel of the game, but what kind of content are you bringing in with each new season?
Loads of things. So loads of events, a bunch of new events which are only there for the season that you're in, and then when that season passes, so that content will go away forever. I think throughout the first 4 weeks, the first 4 seasons after launch, one of the events every week is celebrating Bond and 007 for reasons which are probably clear. Yeah. There's a bunch of other things. There's some co-op only sort of hardcore events which we call the trial. So there's a new trial every week, and then obviously Forzathon is constantly changing up the challenges you have available to you. As people will soon find out, Forzathon Live runs every single hour, but we now have weeklies and dailies in Forzathon. And obviously they refresh with each new season, and with each new season also we refresh the stock in the Forzathon shop. So that's where you go when you've done some Forzathon stuff, you've earned some Forzathon points from doing Forzathons, you go into the shop and there's going to be some hard to find or some rare stuff in there that you can buy with those hard earned points as well. We'll be refreshing that stock every week as well.
Great, and of course the lifeblood of Forza Horizon is cars, right? So there'll be new cars every week, right?
Absolutely, so there's going to be new exclusive cars that are dropped into Forzathon shop, and also I think into Wheelspins. And if you're in the car pass, which this time comes with the Ultimate Edition, so if you're in on Friday, you're in the car pass, we'll be delivering to you 2 new cars with each new season. So on a weekly basis, you're going to be getting new cars to go enjoy in the open world.
And this just isn't over the next month, right? This is ongoing for Forza Horizon 4. This is the way you're going to keep the game fresh week after week after week.
Exactly. So this kind of content refresh and update with each season is something that's going to run for weeks and weeks and months and months. And then also we're going to use that seasonal cadence. So every 4 weeks is kind of like a year in Horizon. We're going to use that cadence to deliver even bigger updates, and we will have one coming at at the end of spring after launch, so 4 weeks in, which I think we're going to be talking about shortly.
Yeah, let's go on and talk about that
Let's
right
talk about
now.
it now.
Right, yeah. So you can see on screen here that we've got the things that are coming up in that October drop, right? Route Creator, Horizon Route Creator is one of the things we're going to talk about in more depth later in the show. But talk to me about the other things you're introducing here as well.
So yeah, so Route Creator, I mean, let's just pause on that because it's something we've talked about, people got really excited about it, and it's something which we're delighted that we're going to be bringing in that second update again after 4 weeks. It's something that we just wanted to get right, and it's an incredibly powerful tool, as we will see in a few moments. But yeah, it's not just about Route Creator, there's going to be a new Horizon story that's going to be dropping with this update as well. So again, once you get into the game, you'll experience Horizon stories and see what they're about. This is a brand new one in which you get the job of doing the driving in a kind of TV automotive magazine show, if you can imagine. TV automotive magazine show, if you can imagine. If you can imagine such a thing. But obviously that's going to celebrate lots of British car culture and give you loads of cool experiences as well. And then obviously it's Halloween during that kind of period, so we're going to be doing some, adding some new stuff in cosmetics, clothing. Some of it will be Halloween themed, some of it won't be. But again, all that's going in for free, and I think that's the key thing about all of this stuff. You know, it's for free, it's for everyone, it's going to be coming every 4 weeks. And for me, that's the most exciting about Horizon 4, you know. I think people are going to love the game when they get it, either this Friday or next Tuesday, or maybe slightly after that. But it's going to keep changing, it's going to keep growing and evolving over time.
Yeah, talk to me more about the Horizon stories, because I've been loving playing that in Forza Horizon 4 already. I'm really excited that you're going to be bringing more of those stories in over time.
Yeah, and really, so it's kind of the evolution of the bucket list feature, which you'll remember from the last couple of games, in which we always try to tell a bit of a story about a car or an experience, or maybe we referenced something. They were really bite-sized though, so the amount of story you can actually tell there is not enormous. What Horizon Stories is just taking that and stringing loads of cool gameplay, cool fun car experiences together with some characters, with a little bit of narrative, a little bit of story, and it means we can go deeper into drifting, for example, as you might, I don't know if you've reached Drift Club yet in the main game, but it's one of my favourites. There's one where you can go and recreate old video games with an influencer, and then obviously there's so many more stories we can tell around this enormous car list, like 450 plus cars and growing. There's so many stories we can tell, and we're going to keep doing that with Horizon Stories over time.
It must have been a big shift for you as a studio to move more to this kind of always-on approach where you're consistently putting new content in the game.
It is a big shift, yeah, absolutely. But I think everyone is really excited about it. You know, the days of shipping a game and forgetting about it are long, long gone, which I think is a good thing for everyone, particularly for gamers. And I think what this means is we're gonna be able to keep creating content. We're gonna be able to keep creating new experiences. Also, I think we're going to keep listening to our community. You know, Route Creator is the answer to a question people have been asking us since Forza Horizon 3. Can I create my own race routes? We love doing what we can to listen to that feedback and acknowledge it and act on it. And we absolutely anticipate we'll be doing that for the foreseeable.
Excellent. Well, stick around because I want to talk to you in depth about Route Creator. We can enjoy some of the cars going past here. Hey everyone, I'm back here with Ralph to give you an in-depth look at Horizon Route Creator. Now Ralph, I know this is something the community's been badgering you about for a long time.
Badgering's a strong word, but yeah, it's been a much requested feature since Horizon 3. Obviously, in Horizon 3 we introduced the blueprint feature, which allowed you to sort of create your own events and share them with your friends, which was cool. What people really wanted to do is create their own race events, you know, their own point-to-points, their own circuits, and that's something that we really were determined to deliver on Horizon 4. Here it is. We're going to be showing folks exactly how it works and how cool it is right now. And as we mentioned earlier, it is coming in the second update, so October 25th, I think. So just 4 short seasons from launch, people will be able to start creating their own routes and sharing them with the community.
All right, this is super cool. We're going to show you it for the first time here, so let's get the video rolling. Ralph, talk us through the process here.
Yeah, absolutely. So brand new option when you arrive at a race. You can now create a route at any race start in the world, as we can see here. And the way we've done this, and we went back and forth on exactly the right way to do it, but the way you will create routes in Horizon 4 is by driving them and basically painting the blue line down wherever you want to go. And then at any point you can drop a checkpoint, you can have a look at it, you can adjust it left and right, and when you're happy with it you drive on. And that's basically the fundamentals of how you create a route. You're going to drive the route, you're going to drop checkpoints where you want to make sure that the drivatars or the other players are definitely going to have to go, and then you drive on and you create whatever route, as we can see here, on road or off, you want to across this massive open world in Horizon 4.
I love the fact that you're actually using the in-game engine. You're actually driving the route and painting it down like that, rather than just using it on a little map or something like that. I think that's great.
Exactly, and it turned out when we looked at it to be by far the most intuitive way to do it. You know, when you're looking at it top down, you don't really have an understanding of exactly what's going on, but here you can feel what's happening, what the car's doing, wherever you are in the world, and you have a much better idea of the race that you're trying to create for yourself, and also don't forget for other people as well, because I think people are going to love creating and sharing using this tool.
Now tell us what's happening here, right? Because this is when you're backing up and making a change.
Exactly. So this is your edit feature here. So if you're not happy with where you set a checkpoint, for example, or the route you've taken, or maybe even just how you took a corner, you can use the Forza rewind system. You just hit Y and rewind, and as you rewind past checkpoints, obviously they will disappear and allow you a do-over. You can just go and tackle it again. What's going to happen right here is that we overcook slightly going into this corner. That's not much of a line for anyone, so we can just take it right back. Obviously that checkpoint gets deleted, and really what we do here is just slow down a little bit and draw a much nicer racing line through this particular corner. We're going to drop a checkpoint at the other side, and it's a better racing experience for the people that eventually come to race this route.
Now you've got total freedom to drop these checkpoints wherever you want in the map. You're not tied to roads or routes or anything like that, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And a lot of people have been asking, how big of a route can I create? The answer is actually in the top right hand of your screen there. You've got 40 miles to play with, which will take you round the world a couple of times. Okay. So plenty of route there to create, and I think that's going to be more than enough to allow people to be really creative, really imaginative, and yeah, like you say, you can go literally anywhere. You can drop checkpoints pretty much anywhere. You can drop checkpoints on the roofs of houses if you can get your car up there. So I think what I'm most looking forward to from this feature is, like with the other creativity tools we have in the franchise, like with paint jobs and tuning and photography, I can't wait to see how creative people are and how they surprise us with the things they make.
And I notice you're using a rally fighter here. What's the significance of the car you're using to create this route?
To be honest, for the end user, for the people who come to play your route, pretty much nothing. They can race it in whatever they want. That's the kind of the Horizon way. I think we've used this car because there's some cars that are just great to use as a painting tool rather than particularly for driving. You want something that's really controllable. You want something that can deal with all the terrain if you're going to take it off road. This rally fighter is a pretty cool example. But I think we're going to go back and we're going to race this in a completely different car, as obviously you can when you then use the blueprint feature all up to create and share your event.
Now this is cool as well. So the route here is onto the train tracks, right? Which adds another element to this route. Which is
typically inadvisable for a race route, but you can do it because you can take it pretty much anywhere. The fun thing about that is that train runs pretty much irrespective of the races you create. So I guess there's a possibility that the train might turn up when you're racing that or when other people are racing it at some other time.
All right. So now we're properly setting up the route here. We've placed our finish point.
Yep.
Talk us through what's happening now.
Okay, so this is us packaging that route, if you like, into an event which we can then test out and then share. So The blueprint functionality that we've had still remains. The big addition is that now you can you can choose your route from any of the ones that you've created at this location. So those are others that we've done previously. We're going to settle on the one that we just created a second ago, and now you can go in and edit the settings. You can actually blueprint this out of the season you're in. So we're going to make this winter when we created it in summer. You can set the weather conditions, whether it's rolling or static, and also, as always, you can create, you can name your event so that people will know it when it's shared, and you know, people will know it's yours. So that poster is kind of the identity for the event that you've just created. And then what we ask you to do is we ask you to test it with the drive avatars to make sure that you can get round a route that you can't get round. Probably isn't much good for then sharing. But that's what we're going to see now. We're going to see this event as we blueprinted it. So it will look kind of different from what we just saw. It's going to be in winter rather than summer, so the roads are, in this part of the map, not quite snowy, but a little bit frosty. This is right by the coast on the east side of the map. So we'll see a bit of snow, we'll see a bit of frost and ice as well.
Right, so this is super cool. So you've created your route, now you're test driving it for the first time. How do you then go ahead and share it with your friends in the wider community?
So once you finish this particular step, like really just testing that it is completable, which is kind of the bare minimum requirement of a race,
yeah.
You then get to share it, and there's some really cool sort of curation functions that we've added in this time. Anybody can like or indeed dislike an event. So it's super important for you, if you want your event to bubble up, that, you know, people get to play it, people like it, and then whenever you enter a race, or whenever anyone enters a race, on the right hand side, after the Horizon Presents event, there will be a folder called Community Events, which will contain all the events that the community have created from that start point. It will be subdivided into, you know, trending events, best of today, best of this week, best of this month, Playground editors picks as well. We're going to pick some of the best stuff and really make sure that bubbles up to everybody, and that's where you want your route to be once you've shared it with everybody.
Yeah, Forza has got such a great history of really supporting the creative elements of your community, right? You know, with the paints and the decals. Now it feels like Route Creator is really going to give rise to a whole new creative community within Forza, right?
I totally agree, but I do think it's a two-way street. You know, like, yes, we support them, but we also have this incredibly creative community who spend so much time you know, creating things and giving back to the community at large, that I have such high hopes for this particular tool. I have such high hopes for the content that people are going to go out and really thoughtfully, really imaginatively create and share. That, you know, after those first 4 weeks, when there's a ton of stuff in the game that people are going to be contenting themselves with and working their way through, once our creators start coming onto this and creating surprising, unexpected events for people to play, I think there's like limitless content within this game, thanks to them.
Yeah. And have you got any inspiration for any aspiring route creators out there? Like, is there a route that you would create personally?
So I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to do this because, well, for reasons. I do think there's an assault course route that you could do where you only place checkpoints on buildings, and it becomes less about speed and more about problem solving. The other one that I want to play is a single checkpoint race where you go out, you know, maybe to the other side of the map, turn round and come back, and basically it's as the crow flies. I think people are going to have a lot of fun with those as well. But, you know, that's two ideas. I know that the community will have a ton more, and I really can't wait for this to drop as part of the second update.